Hello, this is Mohammad Wakas Nawaz from Devomech Solutions, and welcome to the next episode of Devomech Insights. Today, I'm very excited as we have Stephen with us. Stephen, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your background?
Hey guys, my name's Stephen Ugranovsky. I'm 26 years old and I'm the founder of High Central. High Central is an innovative washroom solutions company that provides solutions to industrial slash commercial facilities. The way the idea of High Central was because I come from a cleaning background. My parents have a cleaning supply business and a cleaning services company. Along the way of trying to grow the cleaning supplies business, I come across some roadblocks and decided to start High Central.
Stephen, today I get to see serious side of you. You being serious for the first time in the meeting.
Yeah,
All right, so what was your mindset when you decided to start developing a product or starting this business?
yeah. So as I mentioned previously, I worked in a cleaning supplies business, which was
Hmm.
my parents. My uncle owned the business previously, but it wasn't doing too well and struggling, so he ended up selling the stock to my parents. So my parents took over. The reason why they took over that business was because of myself. I didn't like school, so they
Uh,
thought maybe
that
they
that
thought maybe
that makes the two of us.
that's right. So they said, maybe he'll step in and take over.
Hmm.
Since it was a failing business, like it was losing money at the time, I was involved from the process in the beginning, trying to grow the business and cutting costs and trying to develop software and make everything like easier. A few years moving forward, we were profitable, but along the way, I had a roadblock. One of my competitors, they had access to a certain product. Now, this product was invented in the 90s, actually 1999 when I was born,
Hmm.
which is
Okay.
interesting.
Hmm.
And it was a US company, and they ended up selling to a Swedish company.
Hmm.
Then they licensed the product into Australia,
Hmm.
and that importer that had the license agreement started selling to distributors.
Hmm.
One of those distributors were my competitors.
Hmm.
So when I found out this product was doing such a good job, and I ended up trying to call the importer and
Hmm.
asking if I can distribute his product.
Hmm.
And he told me to go to my competitor.
Aha, okay.
So I hit a roadblock here and I didn't know what to do. And I was really, really upset because in my mind, I've always wanted to achieve big things and be very successful. So
Hmm.
I felt like the world was like crashing down on me at that time.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to give up. And I ended up buying that dispenser, which was a toilet paper dispenser that was reducing certain amount of waste.
Hmm.
And I sent it to China.
Hmm.
So I went to send it to China and try to do it myself. I try
Hmm.
to reverse engineer the product, and everyone thinks that you can get a product and you can change it a little bit and you're going to be okay, right? Everyone says 10-15% rule.
Yeah.
Um, I found out that, yeah, that's definitely not true
Hmm.
because when I, changed the product a little bit, I've done from 3 rolls to 5 rolls. I ended up speaking to a patent attorney to
Hmm.
see if this is okay, and the patent attorney told me that I was going to get sued.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so I try to go back and forth with China.
Hmm.
They're good at copying something or making a minor modification,
Hmm.
but when it comes to developing a whole new product, the communication was too difficult,
Hmm.
and yeah, we just weren't getting anywhere. And they wanted to make me pay like $50,000 to $60,000 to get a drawing given to me because they wanted me to buy the molds before they would give me a file. So to answer your question, my mindset was, you know what, I need to find an engineering team
Hmm.
that I can communicate with, that can do good quality work, and that's cost effective, and that's also that has access to Australia.
Hmm.
With a team also here in Australia.
Interesting. So yeah, means I totally understand that, and many clients come to us that have tried China before, contacting the
Yeah.
manufacturers and trying to get certain product developed, but they end up losing their patience with the communication, especially.
Yeah.
All right. So means this whole product development process. Were you aware of it right from the start when you contacted us, or you learned along the way?
Definitely wasn't aware. It went from, I think it was like thinking it was going to take a few months or maybe 1 year maximum. And what are we now? Like 3 years, three
Hmm.
and a bit years working together. So yeah, I definitely wasn't aware of that. And especially when you're trying to create something that's never been done before. So as I was speaking before, we were trying to reverse engineer a certain product, which isn't the difficult part. The difficult part is inventing something completely different that doesn't infringe on a patent, as an example. And especially that we wanted to create the world's first toilet paper jumbo system that functions in a certain way. It took a lot of trial and error. So yeah, definitely wasn't aware of the whole development process.
Hmm. Interesting. And are you comfortable in telling more about your product, means what your product does, or how would it be different than the rest of the competitors that are there in the market?
Yeah. So the current product that was on the market that made me start this whole thing
Hmm.
was a toilet paper dispensing system,
Hmm.
which were like three small rolls. And what happens is once one of the roll runs out completely, the middle of the roll, which was a core, like a cardboard core, would split in half because there's no roll holding it together. So then you're able to turn to the next roll, right? Because they had such a good patent on that, we could not get around that really. So we had to come up with a way to invent that result in the most popular dispenser in the world, which is the double jumbo system. It's like the big rolls. You got two of them next to each other, but because they're next to each other, you couldn't achieve the turning motion, right?
Hmm.
So that's what took so long because we had to completely think outside the box and yeah, try all different ways to make that achievable.
But the way I see it is that you wanted to copy a certain dispenser which is very popular in the market, but you end up developing a much superior product than that. So
That's
now,
completely different.
yes, completely different and a lot superior means I don't think that has these electronic sensors and that was monitoring the tissues and all the electronics and the software part of your product is a lot superior.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes it a lot superior than them.
Yeah, so that was like in the beginning, we didn't plan, like I didn't plan to go this far.
Hmm.
Now we've got a whole range of hygiene products that's
Hmm.
first in the world in many different industries.
Sounds great. So, how would you describe your working relationship with the development team and the engineers?
Working relationship?
Yes.
No, I'd say really good, really
Hmm.
good. I would say we're more like family now.
Hmm.
We're good close friends or family, you'd say, because we've known each other for so long, and I've spoken to you more than I've spoken to my own girlfriend, and she can confirm that. But yeah, no, it's been a journey, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of unexpected roadblocks that come up along the way, and you project something to be finished by a certain time, and we do it, but then it doesn't work the way we want to. So, but yeah, relationships been strong and healthy.
Sounds good. Happy to know that. Uh,
Yep.
and what are those do you remember some of the blocks or the milestones that happen through the process?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to go back there, but um, okay, because I remember like we were a couple of $100,000 deep, and still didn't have the final like. I
Hmm.
wasn't fully satisfied deep down because even yourself, we were still like trying to make it better,
Hmm.
but it takes a lot of time and resources. But one of the roadblocks that I remember were we created a certain prototype where we created a rod that bent at a
Hmm.
certain point.
Hmm.
And yeah, we just really weren't happy with that system at that time.
Hmm.
But a big milestone for me was when I brainstormed for many hours, hardly
Hmm.
slept,
Hmm.
and then I come up with the magnet, if you remember that, And I
Mm-hmm.
said once it goes down to a certain level, a magnet will go across. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you remember that time, but I think that was the best moment of this journey. And then I shared that with you guys, and then you guys just redesigned it a lot better and a lot more efficient.
Mm-hmm. All
And then
right.
I forgot to mention other roadblocks were during the manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the 3D printed prototype was pretty good. It was working well. And then I remember I got to China and we created like a locking mechanism. And when they printed out the dispenser in the mold, they actually manufactured it, and we spent all that money. I realized that you could lift the cover up and over,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and there was some certain tolerances to do with the
Mm-hmm.
injection molding.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a massive roadblock as well. But we ended up overcoming that, and I'm glad that happened because we ended up creating a new patent out of that.
And a more robust product.
More robust product, yeah. So a lot of heart attack moments, especially when you fly all the way to China after working on something for 3 years, and and seeing the first product come out.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think all founders of different startups or new companies need to know this, that product development is not very easy, is not a straightforward process, is not very smooth as you would want it to be.
yeah,
Dif- you hit different roadblocks, you hit different challenges, but if you have the patience and the commitment to your product or your company, you can keep improving it, and one day it becomes a product that can perform really well in the market. If product development was very easy and making a new product and selling it in the market was very easy, then everyone would do it.
exactly.
But if you have the required patience and the commitment, then means it's not difficult either. All you need to do is that stay committed to it and then wait for it to be ready for the market.
For sure. And you got to be a little bit delusional too, to just push yourself all the way.
Yeah. Okay. So, now I want to understand that when you're a founder and you're actively involved in a certain product and the design team is working on it, how do you balance your involvement? Means making sure you are not either micromanaging and also making sure you stay up to date. So, what is the right balance that a founder should have while interacting with the development team?
I think that's different for everyone
Hmm.
because everyone has a different way of handling things.
Hmm.
Um, for me, I want to be very involved. I want to know everything that's going on,
Hmm.
even if like you haven't come up with the solution.
Hmm.
Just showing me where you're at and what you're thinking
Hmm.
is what I like,
Hmm.
because then you enable me to think myself and give you some like feedback as well, so we can go further in the development. But if I could go back in time a little bit, I would probably sleep more and learn to trust the engineering team.
Okay, that is interesting for me to know. And why is that?
Um, because it's all about quality over quantity.
Hmm.
Like quality work instead of just trying to push so much and think and not sleep properly and stay up late and be on meetings at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. in the morning like I was doing for a very long time. I feel like that can also slow your progress as well
Hmm.
because, like you're more foggy mentally,
Hmm.
you know, and yeah, you don't think as clear.
Hmm. Yeah, and I totally agree to that because a founder should be very active in defining the scope of the project, in defining what the product should do, what are the
Yeah,
milestones that we need to hit. So he should be very active on those. And in the
yeah,
actual development, he should stay informed what is going on as we present weekly reports to all our clients on weekly basis. So they should stay up to date, but and they should stay involved and provide input where required. But I also feel like if they're too involved, then it takes a bit longer than it really does to finish a design. Because sometimes the engineering team says what the founder wants to get done on the technical side, but later both end up learning that might was not optimal, and there was a better way of doing it.
Yeah.
But it is always a learning curve, even for us as well. Every client is different, every company is different. They have their own style of working, their own way of
That's
working, and we
right.
adapt to that, and we learn a lot from them. And you remember, we call you our chief engineer, so we learned a lot from you as well.
Yeah.
But but one thing I would really like to know from you is that what helped you stay organized and confident throughout the whole process?
Um, Organized and confident. So
Hmm.
my confidence come from just the delusion that I was talking about before,
Hmm.
where it was like I've made it this far.
Hmm.
All these things have happened for a reason.
Hmm.
I'm this deep now.
Hmm.
It has to work out.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's where I can say my confidence come from. And what was the other one? Did you say
How do you stay
the
organized?
organized? Sorry,
Hmm.
organized. Organized in what way?
Means you do not that is also part of the confidence that you do not lose hope and you do
Yeah,
not lose patience in a
right.
way. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, it was just pretty much like accepting what was happening, even like when some of the big roadblocks come and there's some major costs. It was just more what you said. Like if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Hmm.
And then like we've got this far, so this is the journey. Like this has to work out. I didn't even think about the negatives in a way, even though they were there. But it was
Hmm.
constantly talking to myself and being strong mentally.
Hmm. All right. Okay, so you mentioned that if you do it again, you might be less involved on the technical side of the engineering team and sleep more, have better nights.
Yes,
Apart from that, what would you differently if you start over again?
that's a hard question to answer because this whole process is the unknown,
Hmm.
right? Like if I can look into the future,
Hmm.
then I'll know the end product. So then I would, I'll do that differently. But other than that, it was more like I said, it's a learning curve.
Hmm. Hmm.
So whatever happened organically and was like meant to happen in a way. But if you're going to talk about the way I would go about it in wise of like the sleeping and all this stuff, I'm not sure to be honest. There's pretty much that feedback I had for you before. Is
Hmm.
just be more patient, and then trust the process and trust the team more. So that's pretty much the same answer.
Hmm. Okay, so if there's uh, if there's someone, a founder who has an idea in mind and he wants to develop a business around that, what suggestion would you give to him how to get started on that and how to follow the whole process? So what
Yeah,
guideline or advice would you give to a founder that has an idea but hasn't
yeah.
started working on it yet?
First, do your study. Study the competitors. That's like the major thing you should be doing. Constantly studying how they operate, how they work, what markets they're in, who's buying from them, what software they use, how their internal operations are. Like, study the whole industry and study everyone they're up against, study potential clients. That's your first thing, right? Know your industry and know how the companies operate. Number two, find out why people are buying from these people, right? Are
Mhm.
they solving a solution? Is it brand? Is it price? Is it trust? What is it? What type of industries are they selling into? Right? That's another thing because you might compare yourself to tier one companies that are selling to high end markets that probably you wouldn't be able to get in initially,
Mhm.
and your focus is on that when potentially there's a gap in the market, which is the middle ground that you can
Mhm.
make a lot of money in.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that comes through studying your competitors again, seeing why people buy from them, seeing if there's a gap in the market, how can you outperform them, not purely just on price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, then it would be look for a good engineering team, have everything planned beforehand, understand every process, like every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got product development, then you got prototyping, you know, then you've got your molds, then you've got distribution, so 3PL or manufacturing, whatever it is, right? So you've got to make sure you study every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then ultimately, what I think wins in this market is you're good on cost, you're good on quality, and you're good on time,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And if you can bring something that's innovative on top, then you're going to win for sure.
Mm-hmm. And it means, uh, and the patent comes, means you have to check the patents as well, as you mentioned before.
Yeah, so that's when it falls into researching your competitors, where
Mm-hmm.
what products are they selling?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have patents on those products? Yeah, that's an important thing that I missed because I actually learned patent law myself, um, just to to purely understand these products and like how can you get around certain products if you can. Um, but yeah, studying the patents actually gives you a lot of information as well.
Yeah, I remember you used to have very technical questions from our patent attorney
Yeah,
regarding the patent research you was doing.
that's right.
So,
Because a lot of corporations they have a lot of patents to scare people off, and if
mm-hmm.
you don't understand the language, you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand patent law,
Mm-hmm.
you will feel like you're locked out of the market. Like it's funny because the toilet paper system that we done, one part of the toilet paper system, which was at the bottom, the sliding mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
um, we thought that we couldn't use that
Mm-hmm.
because a certain company has it. But what we realized was that patent was from like 1990 something. It was
Mm-hmm.
expired.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to use it in our product, and it's an actual crucial part of our product.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, studying patents is very important.
Interesting. And then filing your own patent as well once you have developed the product. That that is very essential to protect your idea.
Yeah, and then ultimately you get the patent. But again, I highly recommend you understand patent law and understand how to draft the patent because you can easily draft a patent and have a lot of holes in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, like, and that's even happened to me once.
Mm-hmm.
We drafted a patent, and then I had to, once I understood the language of patent, I ended up doing another patent and uploaded it because I realized like the way it was drafted wasn't very strong. And even though I paid a lot of money, um, yeah, because no one knows the product more than you,
Mm. The
you know,
technical bits of it, yeah.
and that's where it comes back down to studying all your competitors,
Yeah,
you
and
know.
also, even if you're working with a patent lawyer, the patent lawyer is usually not able to understand the product in
Yeah,
depth as you do. So you
yeah,
need to review the patent draft and give him input that where he mentioned it wrong or where he missed something. Or
for
yeah,
sure.
so I think you have to have some background knowledge. And while we are discussing this, how does AI can help a founder? For example, I know that you rely on AI a lot and use it very effectively.
Yeah.
So how can founders take benefit from ChatGPT or other AI tools?
Um, Pretty much, like I live on AI.
I know.
I use it 24/7, but you cannot use it as like it's 100% truth because even AI has holes in it.
Mhm,
But you can learn things very quickly, like in different industries, like even manufacturing chemical products, soap products, even like learning about the manufacturing part of the injection molding.
mhm,
So just searching and asking questions and being able to speak with the manufacturers back and forth about things you have no idea about. But now you
mhm,
learn so quickly because you have access to AI and then that gets confirmed to you by the manufacturers. So
mhm,
yeah,
mhm.
AI can help in many ways. I just didn't know where to start because, like I said, I live on AI. So yeah, I use that on a daily basis for everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting. And so I would also like to announce here that now Stephen is our partner and in Devomech, Australia, and he is handling all the stuff there, the marketing side, and we have our technical team in Australia that does the technical work there. So Stephen, uh, how did you come up with this idea of partnering up with us in Australia?
Well, I feel like when I was looking around,
Mm-hmm,
um, on how to do all this, it was hard to get information
mm-hmm,
without, if you go to someone like a consultant,
mm-hmm,
you're going to pay a lot of money, like a lot of money. So where my idea come from it, I have all the experience in ways of learning how to bring plastic products to life
mm-hmm,
when it comes to programming, creating applications,
mm-hmm.
creating sensors from the beginning,
Mhm,
understanding majority of that process, right?
mhm,
So I was thinking, well, if we become partners
mhm,
and I can also, in a way, consult people and help people bring their products to life,
mhm,
you know, and pretty much hold their hand the whole way through. And that's worked out because there's a few people already that we've got on board now
mhm.
that have also paid a lot of money to consultants, and they said to me the advice you gave me was better than any advice any consultant gave me here in Australia.
Yeah, and I think he had paid around 30K to a consultant.
$30,000 he paid,
Yeah.
and I sat with him for about 20 minutes, and he was just like, "Wow,
Mm,
like I can't believe I paid all that money."
yeah.
So, but yeah, that was pretty much the reason. Like, I like the way you guys work,
Mhm.
very professional, very fast. So yeah, I thought, why not? I'll be happy to kind of advertise it and be a living example or living proof of bringing products to life and then showing what you guys can do.
Um, I really appreciate that, and also the benefit of having a team in Australia and having a company in Australia is that you can get the government refund on R&D. So can you
Yeah.
tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, so when I first spoke to you guys, I needed to make sure that you are operating here in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you guys really knew that even about the R&D refund at the time, did you?
No, we did not.
That's why it was a very important thing for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, once I explained that to you guys, I said, like, this is what we need to market this
Mm-hmm.
and advertise that to people. And yeah, because I don't think a lot of people don't know about that.
Yeah, and means now I even can understand how we missed that because it saves a lot of money for the clients.
Yeah,
I think they can get a refund up to 40% or so, 42% or so for all.
43.5. There is terms and conditions on that, and
Mhm,
yeah, but you go, you can find out more online about that one.
mhm. Okay. My next question. What does a successful product development journey mean to you? When would you call it to be successful?
Successful
Hmm.
once it's in the market long enough,
Hmm.
it's got enough market awareness or brand awareness,
Hmm.
and yeah, it works the way you're planning for it to work,
Ultimately.
pretty much.
Now, there are two aspects of a company, of a founder. One is to develop the product, and the next one is to market it.
Yeah,
So, which one of the part you think is easier than the other?
depends on the industry. It depends your target audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, because it's a business to business model, and I'm going to have resellers and distributors.
Mm-hmm.
They are my marketing in a
Mm-hmm.
way. Um, but at the same time, the products we've developed is is made for high end commercial facilities like high turnover shopping centers, airports, schools. So we book appointments there, speak to the CEOs or speak to whoever's in charge of purchasing, procurement, and we pitch it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it's a bit easier. It's not too difficult
Mm-hmm.
as long as the product's good. But if you're selling to consumers, like
Mm-hmm.
people at home, then marketing becomes a bit more complex, you know, a lot
Mm-hmm.
more ad spend, TikTok,
Mm-hmm.
Google, Facebook. So it depends. It really depends. And it depends what you're developing, what product you're developing, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
How good the
So,
idea is.
pardon?
So means it really depends on how good the idea is.
Yeah, I guess so. It's a very hard question to answer that one, because there's just so many variables to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
as an example, like one of the clients that we brought in recently,
Mm-hmm.
that was doing that lift.
Yeah.
That was a pretty smooth process.
Yes.
It was straight to the point. So like that manufacturing or prototyping process for him was a lot easier than
Mm-hmm.
mine. And now the
Mm-hmm.
marketing is going to be a bit more difficult for him, but the marketing is going to be easier for me.
Yeah.
So that's why it's a tough one.
So if you got one part easy, the next is bound to be difficult then.
Of course. So nothing is easy.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, yeah, definitely not.
But I think that if you have a good idea and you trust your idea, then it can be a good path, or it is good option to pursue that, because and also you have to fight some of your negative instincts and some of the people around you as well. Because
Oh
if you
yeah,
are invested in a certain product, there are a lot of people who would say negative things to you out of their concern, not that they want to. They just
yeah,
want they just want you to be more successful, or they just don't see the bigger picture, and they want
yeah,
to be successful in the short term, and they would raise some concerns which would be against your idea or against the venture that you are doing. So it is very
yeah,
important to fight that as well.
for sure.
How were you able to manage it?
So it's funny you say that. For the people here in Australia,
Hmm.
my parents are Wogs, old school Macedonian
Hmm.
Wogs.
Hmm.
So they don't speak like amazing English. It's like broken English because their
Hmm.
main language is Macedonian. So
Hmm.
they're grown up. They've been raised like to just like work hard because they come from villages.
Hmm.
So they're like every dollar that you make,
Hmm.
it doesn't matter unless you save it,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
So they're very safe. Save up and put money and buy a house and pay the house off and stuff like that, you know?
Hmm.
So when I wanted to do this, like they thought I was crazy. Everyone thought I was crazy,
Hmm.
right? And when I wanted to sell everything I owned
Hmm.
and got myself in debt,
Hmm.
they thought I was even crazier. So yeah, it was pretty much everyone against you, but the only one in the end was my mum
Hmm.
because she she eventually saw my vision. She saw like, okay, you know,
Hmm.
you might not be too crazy, you know. So she just wanted to support me.
So I think that would have been very supportive then. If she said that you're less crazy, then
Yes,
that makes things a lot easier.
for sure. But initially, yes, there's going to be a lot of friction. There's going to be a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
Everyone's going to tell you, like, oh, but what if you don't do it, or what if it fails? They say 90 something percent of products don't even make it on the market. Like you hear all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you like, but you believe in it, you're going to do it.
yes,
Like there's no other way.
yeah. And I see that, and I observe being in the market that most of the founders find their way out to the exit of the process, but some do uh, get into that means I don't want to risk more, or I don't want to. So if having a product development process or a
Yeah,
startup is your side job thing, is just an extra thing that you are doing, then in those cases the clients do have this tendency to pause working or stop working for a while. But I think I have seen that the founders that are doing this full time, or this is their main idea or main project that they're working on, they're more committed to it.
yep, yep. And it depends on how much reward. Like how much reward do you want to have? Like
Hmm.
if you want to have big reward, well then it is big risk at the same
Yes.
time. If not, if you want to take a lower risk approach, well then you can look for funding, give away
Hmm.
equity, take
Hmm.
less of a liability.
Hmm.
So I believe anyone can develop a product as long
Hmm.
as they have some sort of idea you
Hmm.
know. But just in the end, it comes to how much risk do you want to take and how much reward do you want to take.
But this is a very interesting point that you raised, that raising funding while the product development cycle by giving up some equity. Uh, means what do you think about it? I know that you are not interested in raising funding while the product development cycle. You would do it a lot
Yeah,
after when you get a really good valuation and you get a traction in the market.
yeah.
But for someone who can't bootstrap at all and has to develop a product but still needs some funding, so shall he get into raising funding through equity? And how much equity, what is the max figure that he should give it to someone in order to raise some funding?
It's difficult to answer. Um, Depends on how much money you need as well.
Hmm.
If you need $100,000 or $1 million or $2 million, it really depends, and it also depends on the amount of equity you give. Right? Are you
Hmm.
giving 50+% away to someone who's just going to give you money, or are you
Hmm.
giving 50+% to someone who's going to get your business to where it needs to get to?
Hmm.
So
Is it ever a good idea to give more than 50% or even 50%?
listen, would you rather have 100% of $100,000 or have 10% of 50 million?
I would go with that 10%.
You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter about the percentage as long as you get the result.
But the thing is that when you give more than 50%, you lose control of the process as well.
Of course, it really depends on your goal. It
Hmm.
really depends on your goal. Like for
Hmm.
me, High Central is going to be the biggest commercial or professional hygiene company in the world.
Hmm.
So I need to be involved every step of the way,
Hmm.
and that's the way I am. I'm very involved.
Hmm.
But because to me, it's more than money. Like it's the journey.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know? It's waking up and pushing the product and going from this country to that country, whatever it is. So yeah, I want to be very involved and make a lot of decisions. But to someone who just wants to invent something and sell it off, or maybe make some money on the side, or whatever it is, it might not matter to them as much.
Hmm.
You know, some people be offered billions of dollars to sell something, they don't want to sell it, and then some people offered a couple of $1 million, they'll sell it. It just really depends on the person and what the goal is. Because some people don't want to work and scale something globally. You know, some people just want to sell it and then live comfortable for the rest of their life with their family. So it
Yeah,
depends on your goal.
since I meet a lot of founders and startups, and a good percentage wants to develop a company, scale it to a certain level, and then sell it. And the reason why means, for example, a company gets a valuation of $50 million at a certain stage. So now when they see this $50 million coming towards them and they can do a lot from it, so they evaluate it this way, that we can have, let's say, 10 more similar startups up and running in this amount that we have, along with upgrading our lifestyle.
Yeah.
Then why shouldn't we do it? And they end up selling it
Yeah.
because they feel like this funding can help them build many companies.
To do more. Yeah,
To
look,
do.
that's another way to look at it. You've got more experience than me. I haven't met a lot of inventors and founders and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a good way to put it as well. If they're still hungry and they want to move forward and exit this business and then keep investing in others, then I guess so.
Yeah, but
And
it's
it
again.
depends if they look at it as like their baby, if that makes sense.
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's another thing. Like for me, this is technically like my baby.
Mhm, mhm. And you're very
So
protective of your baby.
very.
Yeah.
That's what we've got. A lot of patents.
Uh, Regarding the equity thing that we're discussing, so I think that this is my personal opinion, is that you should, instead of compromising on the design or development process, I think it's better to raise funds. Usually, in the first round that you do, you shouldn't give more than maybe 20% of your equity. It should be 20% or less than it. You should give that. You can give that much equity and raise some funding so that you can do that whole development process comfortably. Because developing a product is very easy, but developing a good product is very difficult and takes a lot of resources. If you're developing something new, you have to test it, iterate it, improve it before you launch it to the market. And if your funding is becoming a bottleneck or is trying to, and due to the funding, you are limiting the development cycle or not following the whole cycle, then I would recommend founders to raise some funding because launching a perfect product is a lot better than launching a product that has some loopholes. What
Yeah.
are your thoughts on this?
No, that's very interesting. Like it's good. You could look at it both ways. Like what I wanted to say before was some people just want to exit and get money and get out, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if you have a really good idea, a lot of corporate or corporations, sometimes they buy it and they don't even bring it into the market.
Hmm. Hmm. They just
You
file
know?
a patent and they sell it.
That's right. So ultimately, again, if a corporate wants to buy your patent or whatever it is, and you give away a certain amount of your percentage, um, it could be worth it for some people and not for others. But what you were saying on a product development where you lose control and your input, it's subjective, I guess.
I think the answer is different for everybody, and every answer would be right uh, from where one sees it because everyone has its own goal and they can go accordingly. Okay, so now if a founder has a product idea in his mind and wants to get a product developed, so how could one find a good product development team? So what is the process? What is that team selection process or company selection process that one should follow?
Hope for the best.
Contact
Uh,
Devomech Solutions and hope for the best.
no, so what I think is make sure you find a company that can do everything under one roof.
Hmm.
That's a big part
Hmm.
because you might find a single industrial product engineer who can do the drawing of the design, and then he'll send it off to someone to do the 3D printing.
Hmm.
You know, and then if you've got electrical engineering side of things that you need to put into this product, then you need to work. He needs to talk to someone else again, and it slows down the whole process.
Hmm.
So for me, a big selling point for Devomech was they have everything under one roof.
Hmm.
You know, so and they've also worked on a lot of different type of projects. Some of the prototypes they've shown me, you know, like I'm not sure, like if, I'm not, I don't even know if I could say it here, but but yeah, it's very high quality work, and they all work together. So what's important is being able to have a team where they can all sit down and they can all throw ideas and
Hmm.
bounce off each other. You might have the world's best engineer, one person, but
Hmm.
if you have five people, they might come up with a better result because they can all see things differently.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I will definitely look for a dynamic team that can, you know, communicate together and bounce ideas off each other. Yeah, because even in our project, like I was even one of those people that threw in ideas that changed things, and I'm not even an engineer.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm now a chief engineer,
Yes.
but before that, but yeah, that's some advice I could give there.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting that you mentioned that because one might think that the mechanical engineer can do the mechanical design, electronics can engineer can do the electronics design, firmware engineer can develop the firmware, and app development guy can do the app development process. And then we can combine them all together and we'll have the product. It doesn't work that way. All the teams have to go hand in hand and interact daily to make sure that they're going, uh, they're everything fits in its own place perfectly, be it software, be it hardware. And here at Devomech, all the team sits together, solves the problems, and they interact daily at different times to make sure that whatever slight change a mechanical engineer is doing, it shouldn't affect electronics in a negative way, and whatever change firmware development team is doing, that should also be in line with the electronics design that is happening. So yeah, and otherwise, I have experienced this that mechanical, some clients come to us after trying a few freelancers, and what they've experienced is that one say if the product is not working at the end, engineer says it's not my fault, the other also says it's not my fault. So then it's a blame game going, and the product development process is at a halt. Stephen, this has been, I really enjoyed this podcast because I learned a lot from you today as well. Uh, and thank you so much for your time. And
Welcome.
yeah, that is all from my side. Give your one last comment, one last advice, instruction to all the founders, and then we can call it off.
Yeah, well, pretty much what we touched on today.
Hmm.
Um, that's pretty much advice I can give.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, if anyone needs assistance or isn't sure how to bring a certain product to life, you can reach out to us or reach out to myself
Hmm.
at stephen@devomech.com.au.
Hmm.
I'm happy to give free advice and consult people because I actually found a passion in helping people bring their vision to life. You know, because it started with my own, but
Hmm.
now that I see other people that want to bring things to life, it's funny because one of the people that I spoke to didn't realize that his product is within arm's length. He thought it was too far away. He
Hmm.
thought, oh, this is 5 years it's going to take, and I need this much money, or I need that. And when I was able to consult him, like the look in his eyes of like being like, wow, this is
Hmm.
really like really possible.
Hmm.
So like that's what was amazing to me, you know?
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. But
All
yeah,
right.
so if
All
anyone
right then.
wants to do that, go for it.
Yeah, I'll have your email address written on the bottom as well.
Yeah,
Uh, all right then. Thank you so much for your time and have a great day ahead.
no problem. You too. See you guys.